Alright, so this is Tom and Mike's garage, as usual, and we're going to show you a couple things, explain about checking out, basically visually, a truck, whether it be a DOT, a PMI, just inspecting the vehicle and making sure that it's safe and everything's operating. Most of your inspections are going to be visual, all based off visuals, going to give you your telltale signs of where to look and what to go further on in your diagnosis. I'm going to start in the back today. We're going to start looking at your airbags. See if I can get it where you can see it. You got your airbags right up here. Okay.
On the side.
We're going to look at our U-joints and all our pivot points on our drive line. We're going to pull. You can't see the bolt is directly behind this tube or this cross beam, but there's a drain plug. Well, it's a filler plug, and that's how you check your differentials. All right, and then we're also going to be checking out things like our brake chambers. There's a brand new one here. This deal right here. Brand new brake chamber on the back. We're going to show you the fronts and show you what not to do and what you don't want. Pardon the camera, but here we go. Basically, kind of hang out. This has either a square out plug or a half-inch drive in plug. And you'll see when I pull it off what I'm talking about. But this is not only where you fill it, this is where you check the level of fluid, condition of the fluid, and making sure everything's lubricated the way it's supposed to be. For starters, when you pull this out, sometimes these plugs have a magnet on the back, and you want to see if that magnet has any real big chunks of metal in it. This one's not magnetic, but you look in there, that is magnetic in there. On this drain plug, right there, that's the Audi. So you know this has got conventional. Conventional or synthetic. It's told by what kind of plug is on the back. So if it's an Audi, I'm almost positive an Audi is conventional and an innie is synthetic. And if I'm wrong, I will correct myself later in this video. All Mike's doing is sticking his finger in the hole,
Right
just in the
first joint. Getting there, you get the color. Ooh, it smells burnt. Nasty, dark brown. Supposed to be around a light brown copper color. You're supposed to be able to see through it. And this just looks terrible. This needs a new unplug.
Basically, drop the fluid out here, then you'll fill it up top until it reaches the bottom of the hole. Basically, when you can't fit any more in there with the hole open, you're full. So we're just gonna put this back. Do it by hand. Alright, Mike's gonna tighten this up, and we're gonna look at a few other things. Alright, like I was explaining earlier, behind me, we had the new brake chambers. Well, that's a little older one right there. Okay. This brake chamber, there's nothing wrong with it. Doesn't have any leaks or whatnot, but it's dirty. And one thing you want to make sure, you see that cap up top? That cap right here has to be on. You ever get a truck in your service bay and it doesn't have that cap on your air brake chambers? Put them on. DOT's starting to get on people about them, and it helps keep dirt out from in there. It keeps it functioning. You get those unplugged, you get dirt, mud, all that kind of crud in the brake chamber, brake chamber will not work properly, and not having brakes is not necessarily the best idea. Alright, so when I'm up here, and I'm going to show you up on this other side, I'm just going to give a good pull on these lines. They would have air, have the truck aired up. This truck's disabled, but for demonstration purposes, imagine this has got air in the system. You would wiggle and shake on these, you know, a little harder than you would think that it would happen on the road in case of an emergency situation. But just see if you hear any leaks. If you hear any air, the change of an air leak or any air leak whatsoever, you can kind of pinpoint what you got going on. Right, now behind here, in this area, is your slack adjuster. This will make a set of brakes fail completely. This slack adjuster here, it's got a grease point back here. That's the only grease point on it, and you would grease it until you start seeing grease coming out of this crud here. It's a good idea. This one hasn't been done. It's a good idea to take and scrape all that excess grease off, if at all possible. It'll help free everything up, keep things from just getting, you know, nasty hardened, and allow the slack adjuster to self-adjust. You know, so you're gonna wiggle them. You're gonna make sure there's no play in this pin. You know, make sure that you don't see any breaks, and then you would go back and you would adjust them. Make sure that they're adjusted properly, or when you're doing a brake service, you would make sure that they're adjusted properly, and you would feel on how they turn. Make sure that they're moving freely and locking the way they're supposed to. And through this little hole here, I would look up, and brakes on big trucks are easy to identify if they're low or not. You go here, this line right here, there's a little lip that's called the DOT line. It means when there's not enough pad, it goes, you know, when it grinds down and wears down to that line on there, there's a problem, and you got to get them replaced. DOT will cite you for it if the DOT line is not visible. Telltale sign. And then when you do one axle, you do both axles. Okay. Other than that, on all the driveline joints, you're going to want to go up, give them a good push and a shake, and as you can see, this one a little loose. Maybe you can't see it, but it's got just a teeny bit of play in it. It's actually acceptable, but the front, not so much. I can hear it basically just, if I can get you out of the light, you can hear it clanging around up in there. So we're just on this inspection, we're going through and we're yet again doing all the basics. A lot of visual, looking and seeing how things look, how they function, whether they're loose or they're tight. And like I said, you're going to determine from there where you're going to either find your trouble spot or not. You know, you want to look at all your frames, anywhere things are bolted together. You know, like this big cross beam right here. Right there, where it actually mounts to the side frame. You want to look and make sure that there's no cracking around the bolts, no cracking around the rivets, depending on how it's mounted to the frame. You're going to look at things like your fuel tanks support right here. You know, the steps. People walk on this above you. All your fuel tank straps go through here. You're going to shake them down. If you can move that fuel tank at all, you know, it's not a good thing. You can go on either side of where those straps are at and just start moving things. There's no air in the system. Mikey was just over here. He was pulling on that, and normally you would pull on these, and this is to make sure that you got, it's a quick release. Pull some air and water out of there. Some of them have drain valves, which this one does not have a drain valve on any of them. They're all just little pull tabs. And you would normally go through and you would pull every one of them while that truck's aired up, and you would make sure that they're blowing air out like they should, and then that they stop blowing out air when you release it. Make sure these straps aren't hanging in a way that you can get them hung up going down the road. this, that, and the other. We're also looking at our exhaust system. You know, checking, making sure, yeah, we've got rust, but is it leaking? Is it loose? You know, everything's pretty tight. You know, you don't want any leaks. DOT accepts absolutely no leaks on your exhaust system. Mhm. And if you look up here, this is the main reason why all this is bad. Let me see if I can position the light right. Alright, you see all the wetness there? It's a little difficult to see, but Mikey will pull off a bunch of gunk.
It's dirty.
You would look and you would notate and you would record anything that you would see in that manner. Leakage, breakages, any of that. Okay, you're gonna come up here, you know, and as you're under here doing inspections, keep in mind all the grease points that you find. You know, here's a really hard one that most people miss. Is right up in here. Can you hold that right there? This little tube that is hanging there looks just like a tube, but that's actually a grease fitting. Yeah, that's how you're gonna grease your throwout bearing. Up here, you're gonna have multiple grease fittings on every one of these suspension joints. Right here, your tie rod ends. Some of your spring hangers, matter of fact, will actually have grease points. These do not, but it's not uncommon to find them. Okay, so you're looking for things like all this, the wetness around the shock. You know, that shock is actually out right here. A lot of goop on it, and it's wet up at the top, freshly wet. So you know you got moisture coming out of there. You're checking out. Let's see if I can get this camera where it can see it. All right. So, oh, that's your kingpin setup. Okay. So you're gonna look. You got grease that comes out from the top and the bottom. You'll see in a different video on how to check kingpins and all that as far as while it's in the air. But while you're under the truck, you're looking to see if you see anything obvious. Any obvious wear. Make sure all your grease fittings are there. You know, come up underneath and wipe off all that dirt. Make sure it doesn't feel like it's going to be caked up before you start greasing. All these, yet again, more joints with grease points on it. And you're just looking for overall wear. Now right here, we're not quite to our DOT line yet. This one, matter of fact, doesn't have a DOT line on the front. That's really that visible. You can see it, but it's very hard. And we're about halfway there on the front. Okay. We're also looking for anything underneath on the engine. You see any loose wires, broken wires. Looking to see if there's any leakages anywhere on the engine. Starter, seeing if there's anything. You got a hot wire that goes directly to that starter. You want to make sure there's nothing in the way to touch that. Other than that, while you're under the truck, you're looking at any and everything that you can see. Just based on a visual. Other than that, we're going to get back with you on the next video.